So every morning, well, every Monday morning, we are talking about opulence in Waymakers. And opulence comes in a lot of different forms, right? That's why we do it. And that's why we can have these repetitive conversations that don't necessarily repeat in the same way. And one of the things that came up this morning for me on opulence is that sometimes it's really just the attitude that you carry into any and every situation. And it's most tricky, I guess, for me anyway, when things are not advancing in the way that I would like them to advance. In those moments, can I still have an attitude of opulence? And if I can, then my perception and my personalization of opulence is not based on the current circumstances, which is the only way that it's going to make a difference. Is that if it's not based on circumstances, I'm going to let these people in. Good morning. So I was, we're talking about opulence today, obviously, and the thing that I was asking myself this morning when I woke up at before it was daybreak, that's for sure, is can I keep an opulent attitude, an attitude of advancement when the circumstances don't reflect it? And I got a text from one of my cousins that shared some good news. He had been going through some trials and some challenges in his own life, and now things are swinging back. And I looked at the text chain because we hadn't talked in a while, and I just wanted to see like what was the last thing that we were talking about. And the last thing that I had told him on October 9th, 2024 was one of the best things I learned along the way is the story I tell myself and the way that I describe my situation can either make me successful or make me feel like shit. When you change your words, you change your options. Never forget that God is in the unlikely business and he loves coming through when it seems like there are no options.
That Aaron?
That's good, man. Was that a reminder? Good morning. Was that something that you told yourself this morning when you woke up, or was that something more like
That's something that I needed to be reminded of, but those were my own words that I sent to him like almost a full year ago.
oh, okay, okay, okay.
And it's the exact thing that I needed because, my own opulence and one of the words that, is put in the VIP as a synonym, I guess, that goes along with opulence is the word advance. To move forward in a purposeful way that you forge ahead, you push on even though. And
Yeah.
hearing my own words back to me, sometimes that's the thing that you need.
Good.
But yeah, that and gratitude. I noticed that my gratitude level had been slipping. So, obviously, gratitude for me anyway. The way I look at gratitude, I look at if I'm not trusting, then I've lost gratitude, and
Yeah.
and I've let doubt and things like that creep in, and those don't really go hand in hand with opulence. And
Opulent.
it it comes on the tail end of my wife and I going to this Christian business conference Saturday, all day thing called Life Surge, and really great speakers, people that I've read their books, were there, which was pretty awesome. And a lot of the opportunities came out of that, opportunity for Alicia and I to be coached in investing and also in real estate. So, we're going to be taking some courses with this organization and, building our wealth and meeting great people and getting some free swag and just having an abundant day full of answered prayers, both, the silent petitions and the ones that she had verbalized herself. And then, just 24 hours later, it's like this dreaded feeling, and it's amazing how they can exist at the same time, or at least back to back. But I think that's when the power of your own words and your story are so pivotal in, getting back on that track and getting back to that place of gratitude and advancement.
That's good.
Because one of the other, and I'll share this, and then I'll open up the floor. The other definition, I guess, of advancement that it gives is make or cause to make progress. And I think that's so important because sometimes we have to make ourselves progress, right? I have to do these things to cause the progression. It's not just going to happen on its own. Would I love to feel joy and peace and power all the time? Yeah, sure. But sometimes I have to cause it, right? I have to put myself in those places. I have to say the things. I have to put forth the action. I have to reject the thoughts. That it does take some effort from all of us, right?
That's a good reminder, man. And man, that's a powerful way to start the meeting, man. That that's that's very fire. Uh, because everything that you share in some shape or form, man, like I've been going through, and all the newness that I've experienced and that I'm learning to adapt to, are the reminders and the repetition of things and everything that involves the things that are answered prayers, the meditations of our heart, and then like putting forth the action to the things that are showing up, and you know taking it one day at a time. But I know I haven't been here as much, and it's very crazy and ironic that uh, God wanted me to be here this morning, and making time, and not stressing and worrying about everything that I have to do, and just really being open to the newness. We just came back from a trip, and our trip was needed. There's a lot of things, and uh a lot of changes too, with our relationship and the girls and everything. So uh we committed to taking a trip and learn from all the pivoted things that we're going through. It was a refresher for all of us to know that uh we can count on these things, and know that they're part of the journey, the good things and the bad things. So I get to experience the joy and the liberty of having the privilege to do all these things. And yeah, Milan, that's a good way to start the meeting, man. It's very, very on point, and I stand in agreement with it, man.
So do I. It was definitely what I needed to hear this morning because I think, like you said, we're all going through something right now, and I don't know what my stagnation is about the things that I'm doing. Some things are getting done, some things aren't, but it, that was a much needed reminder of get out of my own way.
Yeah, some of the words too that went along with that second definition, make or cause to make progress. It says promote, further, forward, help, aid, assist, and facilitate. And the words help, aid, and assist, and well, facilitate as well. Those four really are indicative of where I am. And one of my mentors, David Meltzer, always says, "I wish more people ask me for help, because if I can't help you directly, I'll direct you to somebody that can." And recently, I reached out to him, and then his assistant called me, and we set some things up, and got the ball rolling in the right direction. And it's just that of being willing to do that, right? To allow somebody else's knowledge and wisdom to facilitate ours, and allowing those things to benefit us when it's not always on us to forward those things. And it's like Wallace Wattles talked about in something that, not Wallace Wattles, Napoleon Hill talked about when we were listening to some Opulence stuff a few weeks ago. Contemplation and spending time thinking about what we're going to do only has a purpose, only matters if it serves a purpose to advancement, if it leads to progress. spending all day like thinking about what we're gonna do or how we're gonna do it or what's gonna happen or the scenarios, and just thinking is like if it doesn't lead to action, then it's worthless. And I've heard it said too that the constant mental preparation of a thing is the illusion of progress.
Say that again.
The constant mental preparation of something is the illusion of progress. We think about, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna do this. Like we feel in a way that like, okay, cool, we're making an advancement, but like we're not. It's an illusion. People think about good ideas all the time, but it's like it only matters if you put action behind it. If God just thought about our lives, but he never said, let there be light and I'm going to make this, I'm going to make that and do these things. If there's no action behind it, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We've all thought about things that we haven't done.
Is this where I say ouch publicly?
I think it's very profound to me, Milan, because I was reading it's called the Four Men from Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard, and in the book, basically on that chapter, he's basically like breaking down and explaining that we have four type of dimensions within ourselves, right? We have, kind of like on a story, you have the director, you have the author, you have the uh each one playing its own role based on the movie or on the play. So like the author has a role, the director has a role, uh so like each one has a role, and each one has to put forth something in order to make it happen. So the author has to, remember the script, the director has to make sure everything's in for the author. So like everything is interconnected. So in that chapter and in that book, he's basically stating like, hey, when we realize that our life has four different type of discrepancies based on each concept of idea, then we focus our life as the author, because then we get to decide like how we operate our authorship of the role play that we're playing here in life. And then the director, like how do we imagine and visualize that directory in our life and apply it to the consistencies and the steps that we need to do in order to make our day-to-day creation happen, forward. So like I stand in agreement with what you're saying, and it's a confirmation too of like the joy and the experience that we all get to do through putting forth the imagination, and then using our imagination to understand the concepts that we have and to understand who we are as a person. Uh, so like that was very profound for me to like understand that, like, hey, wait a minute, like I have four different type of concepts and idea that I can tap into. That if I look at it from that lens, then it makes it a story. It doesn't make it a have to or I get to. It's like, how do I frig the story, and how can I be the author and the director and each and every part of my life to guide myself with my imagination to the progress by taking action. Like you were saying, Milan. So it was very profound for me to read through that and remind myself. And like, another crazy thing, this is very, very crazy. And when I say crazy, I I mean crazy. I mean for real. And I want to share this with you guys because it, you know, we know the authenticity of things what happened, but on our way back, man, from Destin, we were on Highway 65, and on Highway 65, uh, there's no homes between the left that is coming down from Tennessee to the lane that is coming forward back to Tennessee. Like, there's no homes or anything. There's just like the Highway 65 on one lane and then the Highway 65 on another lane. Well, on our way over, I uh I happened to glance to the left, and I saw a tree caught on fire. And I told the girls were awake with me. Adeline saw it, Natalie saw it, but it was like a burning bush, and it caught fire. And I couldn't believe it because it was in the middle of the Highway 65. There's no homes. Like there's maybe I had maybe the assumption that it was maybe like a homeless guy that was making a fire, but I was like, there's no vehicles, there wasn't anybody like that, just there wasn't any sign of like light, like somebody being there, but yet the bush was just like standing. It was burning, and I told the girls, I was like, hey, are you guys seeing this? And then Natalie was like, yes, we saw that, and then Iola saw it, and I was like, I'm not crazy, right? I'm not going crazy. But Natalie, uh, she went to uh, the story of who was it? Moses with the fire bush.
Yeah.
So like she went to that scripture, and it talks about like when God speaks to Moses and tells him, that you know God is gonna be with him through it all, and how he needs to lead his people because God can't stand watching them suffer. So like it really spoke a lot to us uh when we saw that. And even yesterday we were eating dinner, and I was just thinking about that. I was like, guys, like I just can't get out of my head that what if the possibility of that, and it was somebody, or what is the possibility, like in my head, I was thinking all those things, but like, well, going back to what Milan was saying, it's like the evidence of things yet put forward seeing, we would have, I don't know, I'm using these words like in a slang, but in my head, I'm thinking like, here you go, like what Milan was saying, in order for us to experience that, we needed to take that trip in that specific time, in that specific season. If we would have stayed home and not taken that trip, we wouldn't see the burning bush. We wouldn't see the experience and the memories and stuff that we were creating while we were at the trip. So what I'm saying is, because we put forth the action of taking that trip, even though when the circumstances of our life, our current situation was very hard and distracted with work, life, and everything else, like we put forth the decision of saying like, hey, we're gonna take this trip and we're gonna believe that God is gonna show up and He's gonna refresh us and all of this. And like all of this happened because we put forth the little by little step that we needed to get ourselves there, to get a room, to drive ourselves up there, and all of that. So it might be a little insignificant, but there were little steps that had to be forward action in order for those things to happen. So I just wanted to share that story because it was very special and sentimental for me to see the signs and the miracles and wonders that God is speaking to all of us. And one of the things that I'm learning is that I need to slow down more and be in the midst of the presence so that I don't miss those opportunities when God is speaking to us. He's showing up, and like that was just a big reminder for me to like just really, you know, be in tune with myself and not judge myself or judge others, and know that everything's working for a highly purpose. Uh, yeah, I'm sorry. I took off, and I'm sorry.
No, that's so great, man. And I love the tangibility of it, right? Because we talk about that, these things mean nothing if they're not personal.
Yeah.
We're not at home on the couch watching somebody else's rom-com and feeling fulfilled by it. This is our life, right? And when we do take those actions, because that started off with a thought. You're like, "Oh, okay, I'm thinking this, maybe us getting away. Okay, I talked to my wife and my kids about it. Okay, cool. I did my thoughts and my words. What are my actions? Okay, my actions backed it up. And not just the time that you spent there, but like the experience that you were able to, like you said, see. If you hadn't gone that way, you hadn't stayed those days, if you hadn't done those things, you wouldn't have seen that. And regardless of what caused it, the story you're telling yourself is the thing that matters.
Well, I tell you what cost it, bro. I know exactly what cost it. So Valerie, my youngest daughter, so our trip was gonna, let me go back. Our trip was gonna be there until Sunday. Like we were gonna leave there until like stay there Sunday afternoon and just leave. But we ended up deciding to coming home Saturday because Valerie wanted to. So it was baptism on the church, and one of Valerie's friends wanted to get baptized, and Valerie just she wanted to be there for her friend, and her friend wanted to have Valerie there. So, towards the end of the week, I had asked Valerie. I was like, "Hey, Valerie, what's wrong? You look down. Have you had a good trip or no? What's the matter?" And she's like, "Well, there's nothing wrong, but I'm gonna be missing my friend's baptism, and I really wanted to be there." And then she starts tearing up, and I'm like, "Well, why are you tearing up, baby?" She's like, "Bill, because I want to be there for her." And I was like, "But Valerie, it's Saturday." I was like, and so we left it like that, right? And then we went out about our business. It was towards the day, and afterwards, I told her, I was like, "You know what? We're gonna stay here, and we're just gonna you know leave." Yes, sir. I got alignment check for you. One moment, guys.
This is what I call when I said it before my chastisement sessions.
Okay. How so?
How so? Because the thoughts and the desires they have for certain things that there hasn't been any action. There hasn't been any action. It's just been stagnation.
Has there been desire?
Yeah, there's been desire, and I don't know. Like I felt really good about going and helping Annabelle and getting those things done with her and taking Dylan back up and all that was good. But then the desire to do things for myself, it's like, okay, yeah. And then I just fall into the day to day rut of sitting with dad, playing on our phones, watching TV. And it's like I'm not enjoying that. And I know why I'm not enjoying that based on what you said today, because I'm not following through for myself.
Sorry, guys. I just wanted to share that the reason why we did it was because she wanted to be there. So like even then, the timing that Valerie projected towards being there, like we decided to just leave for that reason and support her and encourage her to be there for her friends. So we ended up leaving Saturday one day early. So even on the timing, like the timing for that to happen to tie it into what we saw, like I don't know, like to me it was very like powerful. It spoke to us and it gave us a lot of peace, and evidence with what we were saying. But what were you saying, Miss Terry?
Oh no, I was just telling Milan about my own stagnation and the fact that and I didn't get to this part, the fact that you followed her promptings from the Holy Spirit to be there to support her friend, and your promptings to be there to support her. And God said on the way back, I'm here. I'm with you. Here I am. Because I don't know anybody else other than you and Moses that's had a burning bush experience. I mean, and it could have been started from a rogue cigarette being flicked out of the car. It doesn't matter. The why, the how doesn't matter, as Milan said. The why was confirmation of you guys were doing what you were supposed to be. You were where you were supposed to be at that time.
Yeah.
And I was saying that, I've been pursuing stuff for other people, doing stuff for other people and not doing for myself. Like I haven't recorded in like 2 weeks now. And for my YouTube channel, and countless ideas are there. I don't know why the stagnation is there, but I told Milan, I said the things that I'm doing, I'm enjoying doing them for other people, but I'm not enjoying just my time of just sitting. I don't enjoy it anymore.
Yeah,
That's why, because I'm not producing.
right. And I think for all of us, right? Like when we're actively rejecting the things that we desire, then of course, like we feel funky because that discomfort is a marker. And I've, for years now, I've been saying that like discomfort is a marker because it's trying to get your attention and it's asking you to make a different choice. So it's like, hey, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. Just like when we eat bad food, like you automatically do not want to swallow. You're like, no, get this out of my mouth and away from my face, please. Right? It's that utter rejection because your body's like, no, please don't do this.
Right.
Um,
I don't want that.
even with too much alcohol, it's called being intoxicated, which translates in Latin to being poisoned. I'm being poisoned, right? And your body's like, I'm reacting to the poison. Please don't do that. And then, when we kill those feelings of discomfort, it's the same thing. It's a marker asking us to make a change. It's getting our attention for a reason, because it's like, hey, I don't want you to feel this way. I don't want to feel this way. Please stop it. And one of the things too that keep in mind is that you're allowed to not necessarily in feel like doing it. Um, but the question really is, like, when it continues like that for me, I always ask myself, is it because I don't think I'm valuable enough, or I'm good enough, or this is good enough?
I think it's good enough, and I think I'm good enough. And my husband said something a while back. He goes, one day I'll get motivated like that to do the things I said I was going to do on live, the podcast. And I didn't know how to take that. I didn't know how to take that. Like, I would say, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to record. And it seemed like every time I did that, something would start or happen or require my attention or have me stop. Is that an excuse? I don't know.
Well,
But
actually, I think that's confirmation that it matters. Because why would the devil, why would the enemy try to stop something that's not worthwhile? Like, I think I look at it that way, of like, it's flattery, because he believes in you so much, he's trying to distract you so often.
he's using the people that I love for the distraction.
Right.
I think that's what's bothering me.
Yeah. That, like, oh, if you say yes to you, you're saying no to them.
Yeah.
Right? If you say yes to you, you're saying no to them.
But it's been said, okay, fine, you're going to go outside and do your Waymakers today. Okay, I do this every Monday, every Wednesday. Okay, you're going to go record right now. Fine. And I know it's being said somewhat jokingly, but it hits.
Yeah.
And I don't go do it. I mean, I come out and I do my Waymakers. That's nothing's going to stop me from that. But the recording and stuff, I just kind of like, fine, I'll do it later.
Well, let's do this. Why does Waymakers matter?
Because it helps keep me on track. It teaches me, it inspires me to do those things. But then, yet, when I'm done and I go to do those things, then I get these other distractions from other members of the family.
Yeah. Are you willing to say no?
I'm going to have to because I don't like the funk.
Right. Like one of the things that I used to tell the kids all the time, like, I would just make it so obvious, and I would just say, save yourself. Please, just save yourself. Like, this advice, it coming from me, is only good if you do something about it. Please save yourself. Do these things, save yourself. You'll be way happier, I'm telling you. Save yourself. And like the whole purpose of all this, like, we talk about opulence and advancement. The advancement is because that's the only natural thing. Like, life exists because God wants advancement. Even Jesus said, I come so that you can have abundance. Like, he actively doesn't want you to just exist. He actively doesn't want you to think about things and not put any action towards them.
Yeah.
The thing that helped me out, and I would use Alicia, and sometimes, you remember my the gamma Vanessa, right? Which I'm one the Sabalos that do this,
Was I supposed to hear my Matt Meyer?
right? She just as snarky as she's ever been. And when I was first doing the entrepreneur thing, nobody was going to be there to tell me anything, whether I did or didn't do whatever. And I knew that, but I also knew that sometimes I need the whip, sometimes I need the carrot. And in those moments, like, I need the whip. And I would use Vanessa's voice in my head talking smack about me if I didn't get something done. And that was it helped, right? It helped. Hearing her snarky attitude, and just thinking about, I have to tell Vanessa what I didn't do today. Fuck. I'm not willing to do that. No, I will avoid that at all costs because I do not want to hear her mouth. Right. So it's like I used the whip in that moment. Like, no, I absolutely don't want this. So I'll do whatever it takes to avoid Vanessa talking smack about me. And it's like, finding those things that because we don't always necessarily have those accountability partners or people that see what we're doing as that important.
But I have that accountability partner in you, and then I just avoid you.
Right. But I'm not there.
Oh, you're there.
And it's um the thing too, like that one of the things that could help is, people say it all the time, on a in the same vein of, I'd read my Bible, but like I just don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. And a pastor friend of mine said, okay, try saying it out loud. I'm not willing to dedicate 20 minutes a day to connection, build the relationship I have with God. I'm not willing. Jesus, you're not important enough for me to do that. And he was like, say it out loud. And it was like, it feels freaking wrong and painful to say it out loud.
It does, because I heard myself saying, the people I'm serving are not important enough for me to continue to do this. And that's not true.
Right. I don't, say it out loud. The advice that I have is not worth giving.
That's not true, because it's God given advice. This is why I do Waymakers. This is why Waymakers is so important, because it helps me get out of my own way, and it helps me be stronger for myself.
Right. Because, in scripture, like I think it's in the Psalms, maybe in one of the prophets, but that he says, God is the waymaker.
Yeah.
He's my waymaker. He's my deliverer. Like, these waymakers came to mind when we first started this organization years ago, obviously, as like the only viable option to be called for this mastermind. And it wasn't until later that I was like, oh, that's scriptural. But then I thought, of course it is. Of course it is. Because I'm righteously guided even when I don't realize it. I don't fully realize it. And like Steve Jobs used to say, you connect the dots looking back. So it's like, okay, I can see that, oh yeah, duh, I was being righteously guided for a reason. Okay, cool. So I can constantly remind myself that the mastermind waymakers, we're waymakers because we're made in the image and likeness of the waymaker. So it's like, okay, cool. If I'm a reflection of God, what did I do today to reflect that? If today was the only day that God looked at it and said, hey, what did you do with the thing that I gave you? And he only looked at today, would there be evidence? And, that word advancement is like, moving forward in a purposeful way, causing progress. Causing progress. Did I cause more progress? And, we can absolutely avoid all those negative feelings about ourselves if there's action towards not even full success, but just action towards that direction.
Right.
Like even sitting outside, like you were like, oh yeah, you thought about sitting outside long before you went in the garage, opened the garage door, took the chair out, found a good spot. Like you thought about it first, but like if you thought about it and how good it was going to be and enjoy this, this late summer weather, and then didn't do it, and then the weather was super nice, and then it rained at noon, you'd be like, damn it, I could have been outside until the rain. Dang.
Right.
Dang.
It does. It feels really good.
And we always feel the worst, I think, not when other people do things to us, but when we negate our own desires. Like I was my most unhappy when I was negating my own desires of speaking Spanish and dressing cool and just hanging out with the people that I wanted to hang out with and not doing the things that I was doing as a teenager. I was so unhappy because I wasn't saying yes to me. I wasn't living authentic. But as soon as I started to live authentic after the injury, I was like, oh, I'm really happy. But my life was full of problems, full of hardships. Like those were actually compounded. But I was the happiest I'd ever been because I was opening the door towards advancement and progress towards authentic things that I thought mattered on a regular basis. And, I advanced so fast. Like, I painted like 150 paintings in a year and a half just because I just went for it. I was like, oh, I for some reason I just want to paint. And instead of saying, oh, that's weird, I'm not a painter, I just did it. And, 150 paintings went through, and then that desire waned. And then I was like, oh, well, I want to do this. And I was like, okay. And then did that the stuff, and then the desire waned. And then I realized too, the drops in my book, like we said before, those drops are from conversations I had with God. And one of them says, a dream completed will always lead to a dream completed. So if you don't want to ever complete another dream of yours in your life, then don't complete this one.
Yeah. Nope.
But God's not a God of almost. So therefore, you're not a reflection of almost. And it'll always feel wrong and always feel terrible. And it'll feel more and more terrible the longer it waits, because the island of someday doesn't exist.
Right. And I keep hearing in my head right now, all of a sudden, I got that country comedian going, "You're done."
Right.
I don't know why that popped into my head, but all of a sudden it was like, "You're done."
It popped in your head because it's personal, right? Like, life is personal and God's always listening.
That's so crazy. Get her done. My neighbor's puppies came out.
Because the alternative is having to tell other people what you didn't do today.
Yeah.
Like telling people, hey, I wanted to do this for my channel and I didn't. And they say, why? And you're like, well, I
have a reason.
I had something to do 3 hours from now. They're like, well, how long are the videos? You're like, 4 minutes. Okay. You didn't have 4 freaking minutes?
I had thousands of minutes. Oh my God.
Right. It's like 1/25th of your day.
Right. Lack of obedience.
Like it's less than 10 minutes.
Right.
It's less than 10 minutes. Otherwise, looking at it this way to this extreme, you're not being a reflection of God's nature, because his nature is advancement.
Right. And not just for others, it's for myself.
Right. For yourself and others.
Advance too. And I can't advance for others that I need this. Desire this.
Right. Because somebody's looking for it. Like in Wallace Wattles, in one of his literature, his essays on opulence, he said the desire that you have to do whatever it is confirmation that there's people already assigned to receive it.
That move. Say that again.
Yeah, the desire that we have is confirmation that there are already people assigned to receive it. Because everything, every movie that we've enjoyed, every song that stuck in our head, every bit of comedy and tacos that we've eaten, they were created and then we enjoyed it. Like us enjoying it was already written into the story. Like those people are already assigned. They're just waiting. Like, well, what the hell? Where's that new advice?
That's good.
And most likely, it's always going to be for strangers more so than the people that we know. And it's
oh yeah,
that's the tricky part, because like we'll never get as much confirmation from the people or support from the people that we know intimately until after the success is like abundantly clear for other people.
Right. I think that, you know what, that's a good point, because I'll go back and I'll look at the videos and there's no comments.
Okay. Most people don't comment. Most people, they statistically, according to the analytics, most people won't comment until they've watched your stuff for 2 to 3 months. And David Meltzer, one of my mentors, he posts, I don't know, 3 times a week, 3-4 times a week. There's virtually no comments on his YouTube stuff. However, his network is full and his schedule is full and his client list is full because those don't necessarily coordinate to interaction.
Right.
But the more that you put out, the more watch time there is, the more likely it would be to get to the right people and then snowball.
Right.
But
And I think us that think that's a big part of it for me. I and I hear God saying right now, where were you doing it for the comments or were you doing it because you wanted to share?
yeah,
And that's flex.
right. And we all fall into that social media validation. You know, I'm validated by the amount of comments and shares and likes and analytics and da da da. Is like, yeah, those can be good, but if it's based on that, it's just the same way as if I'm only gonna do good in life if somebody congratulates me, or I'm only gonna tell the truth if somebody is saying like, "Wow, you're such an honest person." Like if I'm only doing it for the accolades, then I'm not doing it for a good reason anymore. And something that God had to tell me is like, he asked me he told me as long as you're doing it for the possible reaction of other people, then I don't get any glory.
Ouch.
And I was like, ah, bang.
Yeah,
All right then, Jesus.
all right then, Jesus.
You are not one to beat around the bush.
Not at all. That's why I'm still hearing get her done, get her done, get her done.
Right. And the great thing is you'll feel so much better after you just get her done.
And I know that.
Right. It's accompanied by a great feeling every freaking time. Every time.
Yeah, it's like the feeling starts when I go over and I write it down, like you said, add your pitch, da 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 da. And then I write it down and then I say, okay, I'm going to do it at this time on this day or this day or this day. And then I walk away from it. And then it's like the cartoons where you see everybody else is out running around playing. And then there's one person in the field that's got a cloud over them.
Yeah. Right. And it's trying to get your attention. Like God's just trying to get your attention. It was like, things feel bad for a reason, just like lies. Lies feel bad for a reason. Deception feels bad for a reason. And the thing is, like, essentially, like you're lying to yourself, saying that doing it later will be better, or I don't have time to do it, or I need to do this instead. It was like, those are convenient lies.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Marissa Peer has a book called Tell Yourself a Better Lie. Like, tell yourself a better lie that this is the most extraordinary YouTube channel in the world. And millions and millions of people every day watch it, and they're waiting with bated breath for every word to come out of my mouth. I mean, that feels like a lie too, but it's a better one.
Right. Makes more sense.
And the thing is, like, you can even make really short ones. And it's not just for the kids, it's for the parents too. They're like, right. Hey, how you're feeling now. So, hey, we don't always say yes to our own selves, right? Like us as parents, it's easy for us to put our own desires on the back burner. But us being the best version of ourselves is the reason that our kids have the best version of a parent and grandparent.
Right.
And, being honest, like, hey, I had to learn the hard way and get a kick in the pants from my mastermind group so that I can get back on these videos. And like, we all need somebody to say, hey, what the heck? Get it together. Get her done.
Get her done.
And I was like, and let them know. I said, hey, if no one's telling you that today, I'm telling you, get her done. The things that you want to do, the desires that you have are worth dedicating some time to. Give yourself 20 minutes. Give yourself 10 minutes. I was like, if you put it in your calendar, especially, then you also don't feel guilty about it because you're like, well, it's already in my schedule. And, give the practical advice from where you are. And people will be like, yes, thank you for giving me that permission or that kick in the pants that I needed. You're right. You're right. My stuff does matter. and let them know, like, hey, I'm in my 60s, I'm retired, and this attitude still matters, and I still have to convince myself and get a kick in the pants, like, I'm no better than you just because I know more stuff about kids.
Right.
And it's like, don't you don't want to be that person where your adult kids are just like, Mom, what's the matter with you? Stop it. Stop it. Would you let us do that? How happy would you be if we were doing that?
I wouldn't. I'd be riding you to the nail.
Right. Just like when I was in the hospital and I was like, why do I got to go to school? Like, you were like, because there's nothing wrong with your brain. You can't write, but you can tell them what to write. So get her done. And I was like, fucking fine. And then just kept going. But like once I started, it was no looking back. Went back to all those advanced courses and whatnot and graduated early and blah blah blah, like the whole thing. But if I had just given you lip and resisted it, it would have just created more problems.
It would have.
And it wouldn't have gave me the relationships that I needed in college. And the ability to believe in myself and trust myself and be like, oh yeah, hard is not a good enough reason. Difficult's not a good enough reason. Doubt's not a good enough reason. Fear is not a good enough reason. No weapon formed against me shall prosper, even the ones that I'm making up.
That I'm making up. There it is right there. These are not tangible problems. They were just excuses.
Yeah. I mean, try saying out loud, I'm no longer willing to delay my success.
I'm no longer willing to delay my success. Get her done.
I would say, pound the desk, but you don't have a desk in front of you. But some of my private clients,
Table.
I've had
I have a table.
I've had them do that of like beat on their desk one of the this phrase like, I'll no longer judge myself. I'm no longer willing to delay my success. And like you
Have a desk.
you stomp your hand on something, you're like, yeah, I feel it now. Okay, cool.
Yep. And try driving by in a truck that David's cut down a tree down the street. Oh, why is this chick banging on the table?
Because I needed it.
Oh, she had a breakthrough. She had a mental clarity breakthrough. And see, this is why I always get up for Waymakers, because I know it's the kick in the pants that I need. And eventually that I'm going to tell self and flesh and all this other stuff, no, these 20 minutes are mine.
Right. And you have, you're already full of ideas. You just got to decide on one. Okay, I'm going to do this one. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no order. There's no,
Right.
like you're like Victor was saying, you're writing this, you just writing the script right now. Then you're going to give it to the director and the director's going to say, okay, do it at this place and this angle. And then the producer is going to say, okay, we got the things to do it. Let's send it off to, production.
Right. Let's send it up to editing and editing will send it back. Then we'll go from there.
Right. But like, the writers, how often are the producer and the director like, you guys are still writing the script? What the hell? Give me a copy so we can just get something done. I'm being yelled at by my boss.
The wind just got a little bit stronger. Yes, God. Yes, God. Okay. I so appreciate you.
Cool. I appreciate the gift.
I so appreciate you in this in so many other areas, but this guidance and opulence and director area. It's answered prayer in so many ways.
Yeah, the thing I've learned too along those same lines is I'll only get the answers when I'm ready to hear them.
Yeah.
and I'm only getting the answers because I asked for them.
Oh yeah.
Like we're the most attractive to the things that we desire, even the secret petitions of our heart. And, that's why that event on Saturday, that Life Surge, was so big for Alicia and I. It was so personal. Not just like, oh yeah, they're saying motivational things, but they're like, that's exactly what I wanted to do and never said anything to anybody. All right, well, I can't say no now.
Right.
What am I going to just delay it further when it's extremely obvious and available and I can and I have time? And it's going to be during the exact time Alicia and I had planned on going on a trip, but the trip plans fell through.
That's what you said.
And we weren't concerned about it. We were just like, okay, well, we'll figure out another time. And just like left it and went to this event with no expectations. And God's like, yeah, so I canceled those plans for a reason so that you could do these things. And we're just like, oh, that's obvious. Thanks, Jesus.
Right.
Turns out you do go before me.
He does go before you, and then the devil will try to throw things in it, like us helping Belle get ready and going up there and helping her shop and going back and helping her get the rest of the stuff she needed, and showing Dylan, this is a young adult going out on her own. She's going to school. She's got an apartment, this, that, and the other. And he goes, it's kind of small. I was like, dude, you came from one room
Yeah.
in a trailer to a big house with a big yard and good neighbors that help you and talk to you. How can you say her apartment is small? Her apartment to me is very big for a first apartment.
Right.
Anyway,
And that's what you need. But keep in mind that for people like us, distractions don't come from negativity. They often come from good things.
right.
From good things.
Yeah, well, that distraction got out really bad because we went to Shea Olga's, that Jamaican place I was telling you about, and everything is paid for parking up there. You go to Grand Rapids a lot. And Dad was backing up and he wasn't paying attention and he backed into a truck. And he tore up my car.
Dang.
Yeah. He tore up the driver's side back bumper and fender. Is dented in, and it was like, my immediate prayer was, God, don't let this take effect in a negative way. And he didn't. It was an instant answered prayer. And he said his aw shit and got out and looked at it, and there was nothing wrong with the truck. I went back and looked at the truck bumper. There was nothing wrong with the truck, because the truck one was up higher, so we got the bumper.
Okay.
And he backed up and he got in another parking spot, and I started walking to go pay for the parking spot, and some